Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this video is about the astrology of June 2018. Now basically I've got an extensive blog on the subject and there's no way I can fully cover it in this video. So I'm trying to pick out the highlights. And the blog is actually the monthly Astrology and Healing magazine that I put out with Mackie Pashley, and her subject in June is dealing with your fears and phobias, if any. And in fact that sort of sets a good tone for the astrology of June 2018. I can't cover all of it, as I said, so do look at the blog, it's quite fascinating, and at the end there's very detailed summaries of the planet movements and tables of the planet transits into, for example, the different Vedic lunar signs and so forth. And there's some very worthwhile charts. So here is my attempt to pull out the high points in a simple, easy way, and some of them are difficult, and yet we have to remember that there's great potential for our own growth, our own evolution, sharing in the evolution of humanity if we can deal with these difficulties. There's a magical opportunity here if only we can see it and maybe get the help of other people in our lives and work together to deal with them. So the first point is, I've entitled it, A Challenge to the Stability and Calm of Your Mind. And this is so worth reading. The point is that there are, if you like, 3 malefic Vedic signs in a row that the moon has to go through each month. So each month there are 6 difficult days, indeed very difficult days. So the first is Vedic Scorpio, where the moon is always challenged by hurt, buried deep emotions and so forth. The second is Vedic Sagittarius, where Saturn is transiting retrograde at the moment. And the third is Vedic Capricorn, where the truly violent Mars-Ketu conjunction is coming to exact and will be in force until November. So note the dates, they're listed, the dangerous dates. And of course the strange thing is that even though we can have this calendar of dangerous dates, and they are dangerous, when the stability of our mind will be threatened and those around us will send us into turbulence even if we don't manage it ourselves, we'll still experience the angers, the panics, the depressions, but at least having the calendar there gives us a context. It's that. Those energies, those difficult energies of 6 days are there for us to learn to deal with them. Work together to deal with them. Don't be totally overthrown by the hissy fits and walkouts. Okay, the second point I want to make is the Mars-Ketu conjunction in Vedic Capricorn. This is exact on the 13th of June, but it's in the heavens till November. Now, Mars-Ketu is difficult to define. It can come in many ways, because Ketu, the south node, is a very strange energy. It's unworldly. And so it brings the collapse of what we think is this world, Mahamaya, the material world. But those collapses and openings and very sudden events, indeed even violent, very sudden events, are there for us to develop spiritual perception and manifest the talents we might bring through from past life, the goals of our incarnation in this life. It's extremely difficult to define exactly how it will manifest, because it manifests on different planes sense. So on the material plane, it's sort of technical skill. And indeed, well, I'm like building an extension to our house. You know, bricks, mortar, measurements, geometry, trying to get all that right. It's technical skill. But it's like a violent energy as well. And so, for example, Ireland, where we live, and we have our healing centre here in the west of Ireland, has a very low murder rate. But just lately, the absolute truth is there's been a whole spate of murders. And like another twist to the tale, another twist to the manifestation is that indeed in this period, Ireland had a referendum on the issue of abortion. And of course the sharp cutting energy of Mars Ketu, well, abortion is clearly a manifestation, that is not an accident. The referendum occurred at that time. But there is a positive side to this technical skill, this sharpness, this otherworldliness. And that is, I hope I can really get this over, that is, it's an opportunity for us to identify and develop our magical will. And indeed, Mars Ketu in Capricorn is the opportunity to structure your magic. And so I've actually started a magical will course, and you can email me if you want details of it. And so a number of people are working on it at the moment. I think there's 14, and it's been produced by this transit. And basically you start by a piece of vision work, envisioning the healed you, the powerful you. Maybe you'll need to cut some cords as well, if certain cords are dragging you away from that. And indeed, you can get a sense of the healed and powered you from energy work, maybe from energy-rich rocks that there most certainly are round here in the sacred sites, and from crystals. So you start by developing the image of the powerful, magical, healed you, but then you hit the question, well, how do I hang on to that? How do I keep it real? And so there are magical techniques for doing that, and that's what the course teaches. Now, Mars, which is obviously part of this Mars-Ketu conjunction, turns retrograde on June the 25th. And so that's tricky. There could be setbacks and outbursts. Things could go awry. There could be hiccups and delays. Be aware of Mars turning retrograde at the end of the month. You really do need to see the blog because there's so much more wonderful detail. So I think the next point I'd make is that Uranus is transiting through Vedic Aries, and Uranus is the god that holds the lightning bolt of your needed revolution. If you don't accept and tune into and go with the needed revolution, you end up a robot. You absolutely do. You watch the television, you trudge to work, you live out an identity that isn't you and relate in unreal ways. Okay, go for that if you want. Otherwise, identify the revolution that is being offered, particularly if you have planets in Vedic Aries or Vedic Libra. More about that in a moment. But just to say, there's also a Jupiter-Neptune trine at the moment. And this can be intuitive and visionary. And indeed, Neptune is stationary this month in Vedic Aquarius. And the slower a planet has of apparent velocity in the heavens, the more powerful he engraves his energy in our lives. And so there is definitely an opportunity for vision work and intuitive development at this time. And indeed, Mercury joins the Jupiter-Neptune trine to form a grand trine on the 19th to the 21st of June. There are charts for this in the blog. So you can actually see if you are affected by the grand trine. Indeed, it's a grand trine in water signs, really deeply, deeply, deeply intuitive. Now, grand trines are actually quite difficult. You need to understand them to get their benefit. And in my astrology readings and courses, I go in a very big way for chart aspect shapes. And that's because my Western astrology is psychosynthesis astrology. It's psychodynamic astrology. And chart aspect shapes most definitely tell us about a particular part of our egoic personality that we need to understand, that we need to work with and develop. That's why we're here. And get to know the whole of ourselves and see how some bits just don't get on with the others. But our magical task is to see the very disparate bits and to get them to all work together under will, a huge topic. But psychosynthesis astrology is intensely valuable, and I do it in all my readings and courses. Just to mention that Pluto is in Vedic Sagittarius, as indeed is Saturn. Saturn will close towards Pluto eventually. And well, I also use the psychodynamic age points. There's two of them. One indicates the unfoldment of our awareness of the totality of our psychological self. And there's also a nodal age point which depicts the current whisper to you from your soul on the astral. And it's so valuable to have a predictive reading for me or from me or one of my courses. And so I'm very struck that at the moment those two age points are aspecting in my chart Pluto and Mars, which offers me empowerment. And remember, these age points take 72 years to go round the rim of the birth chart. So these are treasured moments, treasured openings. Just a brief note to repeat that Chiron has recently entered Vedic Aries, and this gives us a real opportunity to heal wounds in the way we project ourselves, express ourselves into the world. Goodness me, and if we can cope with more, well, there's a grand cross. So Uranus is in Vedic Aries opposite Jupiter transiting in Vedic Libra. But that's at 90 degrees to Venus conjunct Rahu, the North Node, and Mars conjunct Ketu. Now, you need to look at your birth chart and look at the chart, which indeed is in the blog, Western and Vedic, for the Grand Cross. It's a huge fixed energy that obviously totally fills the heavens. Consider how it might manifest in your life. Consider what huge, potentially permanent, fixed energy pattern and revolution pattern it might bring into your life, particularly if you develop the meaning, the perception of the meaning, and then build on it. Do, for example, magical energy work. You know, it's really worth noting the fact of the Grand Cross and checking out how it relates to your astrology. So again, I'd urge you, to consider doing magical will development work. Email me if you're interested in hearing about the course. So it's been almost like a record breaker, helter-skelter run through all this astrology. It's a big, big month. And with those dangerous days, you could end up like being totally depressed, apathetic, smashed, your relationships the source of great ruin. But hopefully with these perceptions, you're offered a really practical way of seeing the energies coming into your life and sharing with others and working on your own, of maximizing your potential, of healing wounds and becoming the person you incarnated to become this lifetime. Thank you.